students. Hope you guys are all doing well. I wanted to take a moment to give some verbal directions and show you a couple of things within the rest of the tutorial, the Discussing Change in Our Lives tutorial that you are going to be working on this week. The Explain part of our HyperDoc has a couple of different things that you need to take notice of. A couple of reasons why is because Edmentum is set up to where you might be able to have in-person or digital discussions, but because we're not set up for that, the English department, we had to modify a couple of things in order to make sure that you could actually do the activity. So I'm going to walk you through the HyperDoc or at least the Explain part, and then I'm going to show you in Edmentum also so that we can be really clear on what we need to do for this section of the HyperDoc, okay? So by the end of this week, you will finish this tutorial discussing change in our lives. On my screen right here, you can see again that I have a couple of directions. We will have to change some of the slide directions since we will not be having a class discussion, okay? So you are going to start on slide 19. And slide 19 simply looks like this. It's nothing but a title slide, and it simply says engaging in a discussion, okay? You're going to go ahead and move forward until you get to slide 22, which you are going to skip, okay? So you'll just hit the next button like you would normally do. You would read through this slide. You would go ahead and read through this slide, which is discussion for a self-paced class. But the next slide, you are going to skip, okay? Because obviously we're not in a group-paced class, so it wouldn't make any sense for you to do this slide, okay? So again, please make sure that you, again, skip slide number 22, okay? Now let's talk a little bit about slide number 23, okay? You have a couple of options for slide 23. You can either find 1 to 2 people, or I'm sorry, you have to do both of these instructions, excuse me. You're going to find 1 to 2 people to have a discussion with about the Newsella online topic you chose at the beginning of this HyperDoc. There were a bunch of different options, and we chose a couple of debatable topics to make sure that you could actually engage in a conversation about something with the people that you chose. Obviously, we are not together, so you have a couple of different options when it gets into choosing who you're going to discuss with. You could discuss with family members, neighbors, if you're seeing, anyone within your neighborhood. If you use FaceTime or House Party with some of your friends, you could do it that way. And you could always call a friend or family member. So those are a couple of different options. I know the dinner table is a great place to have a conversation, maybe in the evening when you're chatting with, mom, dad, brother, sister, aunt, uncle. I'm sure that you'll be able to find someone to have a conversation with. So let's go ahead and take a look at slide number 23, which you will use to complete this part of the HyperDoc. When you get to slide number 23, it says discussion activity. Now it's time to get started. You're going to form your own discussion group. Obviously, we can't chat with another classmate because we're not with each other. But again, you're just going to engage in a discussion on slide number 23. Okay. All right. You will then go to slide number 24, and you're simply just going to reflect. How do you think you did? You were supposed to be the presenter and the person guiding the discussion about the topic. So you're just reflecting on how you did. And now let's go back to the directions for slide 25, okay? So on slide 25, you have 2 different options, okay? You are only choosing one of these 2 options, okay? So choose part A if you only had one other person in your discussion and you're going to complete the written response. So when we get to slide 25, okay, I'm going to skip down to where it says part A. So again, if you only had one person to discuss with, you are to choose part A, okay? The other option, you're going to choose part B if you had 2 or more people in your discussion, okay? So when you scroll down to part B, all right, this is writing a 2-page reflection on what you gained from participating in a group discussion. And that's why if you had 2 or more people as part of your discussion, you're choosing part B, because this one is specifically right here says group discussion, okay? Now, once you've chosen either part A, if you had 1 person you discussed with, or part B, if you had 2 people to discuss with, once you finish either of those options, remember only 1, okay, you are then going to complete the self-evaluation that's all the way at the bottom of slide 25. So when you scroll down, okay, you get to this self-evaluation. So you're just going to rate yourself on a 1 to 5 and just reflect on what you learned. Was it hard to keep the conversation going? Did people get upset, or was it really, really good? Just, I would say anywhere from 3 to 5 sentences would be plenty for this part of the self-evaluation, okay? After you get through that, you're simply going to complete the remaining slides 26 through 35, and that's going to be a focus on language, prefixes, suffixes, and root words, which are the same ones that you did during your vocabulary activity in the Explore section, okay? So again, it's really, really important to make sure that you are not overloading yourself and making sure that you actually follow these instructions that I went over for the explain part of this week's HyperDoc, okay? As always, if you have any questions at all, please make sure that you reach out to me. I love, love, love when you guys send me emails asking me clarifying questions or just bringing up a topic that I need to be aware of. So I definitely appreciate the responsibility that you guys are showing, okay? All right, good luck. Again, follow the instructions very carefully, and I hope you have some great discussions this week. Toodaloo.